I got really good at cybersecurity, and I'm glad I did because that skill set is one of the treasured gifts that we can have today. I am honored. My second time I've been asked by the Air Force to come work in the Air Force Research Lab. Different way to protect your country, but I tell you, it's an important one. I'm helping the United States Air Force right now defend against cyber attack. Defend, keep America's electronic superiority. Exactly what we need to do. I'm honored because I just got notification last week that they wanted to bring me back. How does that filter into the Secretary of State's office today? Well, we have no longer 18 counties. We have 48 counties. More registered voters than we do citizens. By the end of this year, it's going to be 60. Half of our state. Okay, so my antenna is already going up. We have problems with the reporting. She should be cleaning it up. 2 federal judges have said, clean this up, and she's not. The second biggest thing for me was when there was a breach in the security. And when you have data that's irregular and a breach in security, and guess what the breach of security was? How many of you know your voter data was sold to the dark web? Everybody in this room, all your voting information is out on the dark web. Why is that important? It's important because if you're a hacker, if you're a misrepresentative, you want to do voter fraud, you can assume anybody's identity by simply looking at your demographic information online. You haven't voted in 10 to 12 years? Guess what? You started to vote. Did it happen? Yes, we did. This is my favorite example. Somebody born in 1846 voted in 2016. Whatever they're taking, give me some. And it was told clerical error. Clerical error, well, a clerical error where I come from and the business that I do in IT, you would not have missed a clerical error time and time again. And I'm not blaming the clerks. I'm blaming the Secretary of State. Her responsibility. We have got a mess in that office. In 2015, when I first ran, she had $841,000 and I had $41,000. And the final result was 51% to 49%. Now, how did I do it? First of all, I worked really hard. Second of all, I had a good strategy. And third, I met with Secretary of Ohio, who was doing voter roll cleanup in Ohio. At the same time, his plan got challenged, was eventually accepted by the U.S. Supreme Court. He called me in 2018 and said, guess what, Kentucky, their voter roll cleanup plan. So I'm ready day one with a plan that's approved by the U.S. Supreme Court to clean up our voter rolls, because that's what we need. And you'll notice the difference in Ohio between Romney and Trump is day and night. It's a great example to see what has happened when you clean up your voter rolls. Romney lost the state of Ohio. Donald Trump won the state of Ohio, hands down. Granted, 2 different candidates, but you can see a difference. You can see a huge difference. Registrations went way down. Why? They kicked all the people off the voter rolls that shouldn't be there. But participation rates went up. You combine that with voter ID, which is what I ran in 2015. You keep a paper ballot and you have clean rolls, you can't lose, folks. So I humbly ask for your vote on May 21st. I bring the skill set that nobody else has. I just ask for your vote. God bless you all. Thank you.
Robert Goforth, running for governor. So I'm Robert Goforth. I'm the state representative for the 89th House District. That's Laurel, Jackson, and Madison County. I live on a farm in East Bernstein with my wife and my 4-year-old triplets, Abigail, Benjamin, and Christian. I have an older son. He's 25. He goes to school right here in Louisville at Sullivan College of Pharmacy. He's going to graduate next year with a Doctor of Pharmacy degree and MBA, dual degree. But life wasn't always that great. 7 generations of my family's from that area, Laurel and Pulaski County. I was raised primarily by my single mother. She raised myself and my 2 brothers in soul-crushing poverty. I didn't know if we were going to have food on the table, but my mom didn't take the easy road that some people take. She chose to not take that road. I thank God for it. She chose to have us, even when the doctors told her that my little brother would never walk, talk, crawl, he'd be a vegetable his entire life. I'm his guardian. He's the most miraculous person that you'll ever meet, human being that you'll ever meet. But let me tell you about that. Times were tough growing up. Like I said, I remember wading in knee-deep snow in food bank lines, churches begging for food. Poverty went out whenever I was 16 years old. I had to drop out of school, get a job. I got a GED. I joined the United States Army, combat engineer in the United States Army. I came home after the Army, started working at a factory there in Somerset called Tecumseh Products. We built compressors. They weigh about 80 to 100 pounds apiece. My job was to hang them every night on the oven, about $2,100, till I hurt my back. I ruptured a couple discs in my lower back. The doctor told me I could never go back to that kind of work anymore. He asked me if I had a dream about doing anything else, and I said yes. Ever since I was a child, My little brother having seizures. Every time he'd get released from the hospital, we'd go to the pharmacy, get medicine, and that pharmacist would give us medicine and make my little brother well again. And I knew if I could ever do anything in this world to help someone be well again like that pharmacist helped us, that's what I wanted to do. He told me what I needed to do. I applied to UK the next day. I was enrolled as a 23-year-old freshman. I studied chemistry there. I went on and got my Doctor of Pharmacy degree. I came home. I worked 7 days a week until I could save up enough money to open up my first store. I built 4 stores. I built that business in some of the poorest communities in Kentucky, generates tens of millions of sales, puts numerous people to work, and puts millions of payroll dollars back into those poorest communities. And then I sold those businesses in 2016 so I could focus on a substance abuse prevention education program for children grades K through 12 that I do free of charge all across Kentucky. I give them these bracelets. It says, I can make a difference, say no to drugs, and the most important part, that cross on each side. And I tell them, no matter how bad my life has been, and it's been pretty rough sometimes, I can look down at that cross and I can pray about my problems and it gets me through. And I teach every single one of them. I tell them, that's what I do. And I encourage them to do the same thing. I traveled all across Kentucky. I saw the scourge of drugs firsthand with these children. And that's what led me to run for the legislature. I won a special election last year, February 27th, sent me to the House of Representatives to represent the people of my district. I thought if I could be there and I could sit at the table and I could draft some legislation to give these children the opportunity to survive, the life skills to survive, to say no to drugs, that's what I wanted to do. Once I got there, I seen how bad Frankfurt is too. That's why I'm running for governor, because I think Kentucky deserves better than what we currently have. There's billions of dollars being wasted, billions of dollars. Number one, the master tobacco settlement, $250 million it leaves Kentucky. We can opt out of that. We can get it all back. Right now, we only keep about 80 to 100 million. Kentucky Medicaid, $500 million a year being wasted because it's being outsourced. We used to run that very efficiently in-house. We can do it again. Save Kentucky taxpayers almost $500 million a year. The exemptions, over 600 exemptions. 600 exemptions, up to $11 billion. Now, what we can do, we had a task force. There's at least 10% waste there. There's $1 billion a year. Should never be another Kentuckian taxed again a day in your life more than what you are right now. My time is up. Please go to my website, stick around, talk to me, Goforth4ky.com. I've got some interviews on there, very detailed plans on what I'm going to do differently, and I can win in November. I won my last election by 92% in Jackson County. Republicans, Democrats, everybody came together because I did what I told them I would do. I stand up for the people. The people, that's what we're supposed to be there for. Thank you.
Goforth running for governor on the Republican ticket. Next speaker will be Wil Schroder running for Attorney General.
Ladies and gentlemen, imagine walking into a courtroom and finding out that the attorney you had hired had never tried a case before. What would you do? Chances you fire him, you find someone that had experience. And that is the exact question that voters are going to be presented with this May 21st. I am the only candidate in this Republican primary that has actually been a prosecutor. Now, as Kentucky's chief law enforcement officer and top prosecutor, this position is way too important for on-the-job training. I need someone who's ready from day one, and I will be that guy. In 2014, I had a 3-way Republican primary, and I ended up with more votes than my opponents combined. I went on to win in the Democrat district with 62% of the vote. And then in this last election cycle, when Democrats threw everything they could at me, I ended up with more votes than I had in 2014. So I've proven that I can win, and I can win in the fall. I'm the only candidate that is currently in a leadership position. In the Kentucky State Senate, I'm chair of the State and Local Government Committee. I work with your local elected officials on important issues, local level. And I'm proud to say I have the support of 27 of my Republican Senate colleagues. Those that know me best, those that work with me, know that I'm the best person for this job. Now, as Kentucky's Attorney General, I'm going to fight for Kentucky's values. I'm going to stand up for values like faith, family, and freedom. Now, when it comes to faith, it is time, ladies and gentlemen, that Kentucky have a pro-life Attorney General. Our current Attorney General, once again, declined to defend our pro-life legislation that we passed out of the General Assembly, and he said, well, the ACLU is already suing. Well, of course they are. They're the ACLU. Planned Parenthood and the ACLU were going to sue, that's what they do. I stood up to the ACLU. I stood up to Planned Parenthood as a state senator, and you can be sure as Attorney General, I will stand up to them again. The fight for the unborn, drug epidemic continues to ravage across the Commonwealth wherever I go. It used to be heroin when I was a prosecutor, and that's still existing, but now it's meth. Last year, there were over 30,000 meth cases in Kentucky. We need an Attorney General who's going to stand up, work with our county attorneys, work with our Commonwealth attorneys, but also stand up and have the president's back. We have 16 Democrat attorney generals throughout the nation that are suing our president over border security. He needs to know that somebody has his back. That meth is coming from Mexican drug cartels into our state, and it's impacting us. We need somebody to have his back. I'll have his back. Constitutional rights, Andy Beshear has sat on the sidelines. He sat on the sidelines when it came to your First Amendment. He sat on your sidelines when it came to your Second. There's currently a U.S. Supreme Court case dealing with the Second Amendment. He declined to do anything at all. Now, as Attorney General, you can weigh in and you can let the U.S. Supreme Court know how Kentucky feels about these values, how Kentucky feels about these constitutional rights. You can be sure as Attorney General I will do that. I will stand up for your Second Amendment rights. I've done it in the Senate. I stood up for your Second Amendment rights and First Amendment rights in the Senate. I'll do it again as Attorney General. I can promise you that. My wife, Marcy, my high school sweetheart, I've been calling her Saint Marcy for allowing me to run for statewide office. Grace, daughter 2.5, and my son Trey is 11 months old. We're doing something right because Grace's favorite thing to do before I go to work each day is put the American flag out. And at night, her favorite thing to do is the Bible study with Mom. We're teaching them the good Kentucky values, American values. Constant reminder for us, what is at stake for Kentucky's future? The stakes are high. And I came here tonight not just to ask for your vote, to ask for your help. See, I have an opponent who's never been a prosecutor, who worked up in D.C. for 2 years, so he has the backing of some powerful people. I'll just leave it at that. They have a super PAC, a dark money super PAC, investing money in the state on commercials, and they realized they couldn't beat me because he doesn't have that background. He's never been a prosecutor. He's a lobbyist. What are they trying to do? They're trying to discredit me. They're trying to discredit everything I've stood up for in the Kentucky Senate. I've stood up for pro-life legislation, and I was endorsed by Kentucky Right to Life. I've done it to run in attack mailers and attack ads saying that just a few years ago I was a Democrat. Now, ladies and gentlemen, just a few years ago I was in the Kentucky State Senate standing up for the conservative values that I have been talking about. Now, like many Kentuckians, like President Ronald Reagan, President Donald Trump, over a decade ago, I was a Democrat. I remember like it was yesterday. I was sitting on my couch talking to my roommate, and he said, "So you're a pro-life Democrat?" And I said, "Yeah, I guess I'm the exception." He said, "Man, look at your party's platform. It's not pro-life. That doesn't make any sense." He was right. I switched parties. I'm a conservative. I'm not just telling you I'm a conservative. I have the voting records to prove it. People say, "Hey, I don't know about this guy. I got this crazy attack mailer." Please help me set the record straight. This job is way too important, even to somebody who's unqualified, someone who can't win in the fall. I can beat Greg Stumbo. We did not want Greg Stumbo as our next Attorney General.
Okay, are there any other candidates that we missed? We got 2 more candidates. Candidate is Andrew English, running for Secretary of State.
My name is Andrew English, and I'm running because everything that you've heard from the other gentleman is correct. We have 48 counties in Kentucky that have more registered voters than citizens eligible to vote. You can vote in the Commonwealth of Kentucky. Carl wants me to stay still, but I can't. I'm sorry, Carl. I appreciate the tip, though. In Kentucky, you can vote with a credit card as your ID. Crazy, right? For the past 8 years, our current Secretary of State has belittled our county clerks to the point where they won't even speak to her. I was at an event the other day with 4 or 5 county clerks. They wouldn't even let her come to. It is that bad a relationship. And we have to have a Secretary of State that will work with the governor's office to take advantage. I've been saying $18 million, now $20 billion of economic investment that is coming to the Commonwealth. Why, Andrew English? Why do I deserve your all's vote? Well, first and foremost, English always beats French. I'm a veteran of the United States Navy. I have 6 years active duty. I spent 15 months deployed downrange with the Marines on board the USS Iwo Jima as part of Squadron 8. in the 24th Marine Expeditionary. I was on the bridge of the USS New York the very first time it went through the Straits of Hormuz. So for those of you all that don't know the USS New York, that is the ship that is built from the steel of the Twin Towers. It knocked down our building. I can remember thinking this vividly in my mind as I was going through an Iranian frigate pulled up next to us. You're going to knock down our building. We're going to harvest the steel. We're going to pack it full of the world's deadliest fighting force of the United States Marines, and then we're going to go park it off your coast. That was an amazing moment in my life, second only probably to my wedding, and soon to be birth of my firstborn son that's coming here in July. I'm honored, 100% pro-life. There is something, I've always been a person with art. As soon as the life is created, that is a person. When that is a person, it has rights. One of those rights is the right to life. When you hear your baby's heartbeat for the very first time, and then you think about what they're talking about in Virginia and New York, it is an abomination. As a veteran, I'm a member of the NRA. 100% everybody should own a gun if they so choose to do so. That's one reason. The other reason is I'm a leader. You have to have a leader to rebuild the Secretary of State's office. It has been destroyed by the current administration. For the past 3 years, I've been the General Counsel for the Kentucky Justice and Public Safety Cabinet. I've run an office larger than the Secretary of State's office. I've managed over 40 attorneys, paralegals, and investigators dealing with the legal issues for a cabinet of 8,000 people. So when Heather Rich Henry comes in the fall, I really appreciate that sentiment. That's great. When she comes in the fall, she's running the Democratic Party. They're tired of the stumble. They're tired of the evil. They're tired of the shit. They're looking for a new face to that party. And she's going to go into those VFW halls and those American Legion posts and say, hey, come on over. The water is fine. This is your daddy's Democratic Party. This is your granddaddy's Democratic Party. This is not the Democratic Party of New York that talks about banning cow farts and having post-birth abortions. No. This is the Kentucky Democratic. Come on back. If she tries to rebuild and regain that party, we need a leader to get in there and go toe-to-toe with her one issue, veterans. So you want to talk about veterans? Let's talk about it. You want to talk about the VA? Be in the VA. The day after this primary is over, I go do my 2 weeks of active duty as Lieutenant Commander, Andrew English, United States Navy Reserve. So she wants to talk about veterans? Let's talk about it. Then we can go back and we talk about the 48 counties. My plan to clean up the voting rolls, which I want to do in Ohio with. My plan to get voter ID in the Commonwealth of Kentucky. I want to do what Indiana does and require a photographic ID for every single voter in the Commonwealth of Kentucky. Take advantage of the $20 billion of economic investments coming here. We're doing great at keeping the $15 an hour jobs. We need the $80,000 a year jobs here in Kentucky. We are one of 10 states that people are leaving. Makes no sense to me. We have low cost of energy, low cost of great waterways, great place to raise a family, good people, hardworking, and people are leaving. We got to get to those college students and those military veterans at Fort Knox and Fort Campbell. And I wish I could say, well, I want to take care of my veterans. And I do want to take care of my veterans, but I know one thing for sure. Those are hard workers that are well educated, well trained. We need that workforce here in Kentucky. So I want to go after them. I want to keep them here because I want to make Kentucky the best it possibly can be, not only for the voters, but for every single person that works here in the Commonwealth. We have to make it a business-friendly state. Remember, May 21st, Bush always beats French. But I also say here in the 3rd District, we'll be listed 4th on the ballot. So I say press 4 for English on May 21st.
And our last one coming up, Ike Lawrence.
My name's Ike Lawrence. I'm from Lexington. I'm 63 years old. Father of 3 children, 3 grown children, 25, 29, and 32. 2 grandchildren. I'm against Governor Beck because I think I have a better chance of winning in November than he does. Nothing that is his fault. It's just the circumstances he was given these past 3.5 years. Exemplary record of past 40 years of doing deals in Lexington. I fixed a number of things not only that I bought that were distressed and took it on myself to become one of Lexington and Central Kentucky's largest landlords, 20 of those 40 years. 400 tenants. I'm the #1 advocate for affordable housing and safe housing. I'm a big believer in housing, much like I'm passionate in other things. Mine is housing. Ironically, when I graduated from UK, I became a certified teacher. So I know a lot about CARA from 1990 and all the add-ons that are strangling our state. The biggest problem we're having is with the judges. Judge Shepard has set us way back, setting back the pension bill that has caused all these problems. We ran out of cards. We'll have a card here that I call my miniature brochure, my T-Barty brochure of all the brochures. Only 9 nets will fit in your pocket. I think that speaks up volumes. If we have 5-cent cards, I guarantee you, I've always said this is better than mine. On mine in the lower right, not everybody got one. Some of you got my regular business card that has my email. If y'all share this special card, it does have my website. It clearly shows when you dial it up on your resume and a whole lot of the ideas that I have as your next governor. One of the things that I'm proud of is in this website, you'll see I identified our situation is like an iceberg. Governor Bevin, through no fault of his own, is only dealing with the top 10% of the iceberg, maybe 20% at the most. Opioids and pensions, that's all we hear about, opioids and pensions. Of course, what sinks tall ships is what's underneath the surface, is what sinks Titanic families and Titanic budgets, is the part that I hope to represent and deal with. When you go to my website, you will see all the solutions that I have. Any of the problems we have that Governor Bevin refuses to look at, level tuition. We always have a tuition increase. Just recently it was announced almost 3%, most of the time it's 5 to 6%. 4 years, if your child is lucky enough to get out of our state colleges in 4 years, 30% more than when you started as a freshman. That's terrible. You wouldn't hire a plumber for 4 weeks. You raise your rate 5% every week and say, I'll be back. There'll be 5% more on my hourly rate. Hit the road. Why do we have that? A guy named Mitch Daniels, and this is strangling our children, the next generation or 2 generations down. Mitch Daniels, Purdue University, hasn't had a tuition increase in 7 years. And people ask, how do you do that? He said, we fix everything. We bid everything out every year. And he's the past governor of Indiana. Mitch Daniels, remember that name. Another I follow is Dan Rose. Dan Rose, simple attorney in Lexington, pushed the bill through that Lexington, Louisville got the law passed on changing how school districts can raise real estate rates 4% a year under the old House Bill 44. You can now put that on the ballot due to this gentleman named Dan Rose, who just for election in Louisville didn't seem right for the smaller towns. You now have 90 days instead of 45 days, and you can do it online, and the petition you sign doesn't have to be from the same district. So bring that to your attention because he has a 10-point plan called Vision 2030 on eradicating drugs and fentanyl and heroin. And the number one thing, if you go to my website, it's called Vision 2030, Dan Rose. The number one thing is to stop our borders. Don't worry about Mexico. Worry about Detroit. Don't worry about Florida. Stop it at the border. And I'm all for that as one of his 10-point plans. Put it in a U-turn. Tell these people from Florida and Detroit to turn right around because there's a sign at every one of them that says, half a mile down the road, we're going to stop one out of every 10 cars randomly. How else are we going to fix this problem? Nobody's willing to do that. Not Governor Bevin, not anybody. I will be the first to say, we are going to randomly search your car, 1 out of 20, 1 out of 50, I don't care. And if you don't like it, we're going to put in all these U-turns so you can turn right around. Because I don't know any other way that drugs are coming in by vehicle. They're not coming in by plane, hike, or any other way but by our interstates and our state highways. Also on that sign, I'm proud to say, the reason why we shouldn't do this, remind these drug dealers that we are a death penalty state. We need to put it on our signs. We need to raise the standard for the state of Kentucky at just 20%. Keep our tuition low, have our kids back in public schools because we have a higher dress code. You have a governor go to the local level and says, I will support your site-based council to have higher dress code, look exactly like the parochial schools and the Christian schools and the private schools. That's the only difference between public education. Turn off the cell phone. My name is Ike Lawrence. I appreciate your vote. If I this upset, I would have Governor Bevin's backing. I'm backing Bevin and he's our nominee and we lose. We have done all this for nothing. Please consider me and look at my website and share that business card. Thank you very much.
Ike Lawrence running for governor on the Republican ticket. Now, I want to talk to you. I was reading my Bible the other day, and I came to the book of Numbers. And I said, well, I don't want to read this. And then I looked into it a little bit. That's where the children of God, or the people of God, came. They wandered around in the wilderness for 40 years. Remember that? And then they came up to the Jordan River. They had to make a decision. Are they going to cross the river and go into the promised land? Or are they going to go back and wander in the desert for another 40 years? I'm here to tell you that that is where we are today in Kentucky. Push on ahead and go into the promised land. Kentucky's been wandering in the wilderness for the last 40 years. And finally, we've come up to the Jordan River. And we can make up our mind, are we going to push ahead and go into the promised land? Or are we going to go back where we're the last in personal income, the last as far as employment, the last as far as jobs, the last in everything last? Or are we going to push ahead and take our state back? I'm not talking in theoretical terms. Hold up some of those voter guides, will you? All right, these voter guides is how we're going to get into the promised land. Where is Carol Bretschneider? I bet she's not even here. Carol Bretschneider is one of my heroes. She will take several hundred of these, and she'll get her husband, she'll get her children, she'll get her neighbor, she'll get her friends, and she'll drive those and put them in every paper box in the neighborhood. Okay? We can all do that. How many people can do that?
How many have done it?
We've got?
How many have done it?
Yeah. Okay. She's got 10,000 in here right now. And there's about 100 of us, so everybody's got a 10.